In April of 2009, after my presentation at Education Without Borders in Dubai, I had the chance to visit Lahore and speak to Mr. Sohail Rana, the General Manager of Lahore Compost. Lahore Compost is a composting facility located in Lahore, Pakistan, and they're converting tons of trash into 800 bags of organic fertilizer a day. In this interview, Sohail Rana shares with us the ins and outs of the recycling industry. Mr. Sohail Rana, thank you so much for being with us today. First of all, could you tell us what kinds of recycling exist in the industry?
In the recycling area, there's household recycling, there's water recycling, there's agricultural waste recycling, there's industrial recycling. And each one of these can be used as a subject to focus upon.
You've told us about recycling in general. What does Lahore Compost do specifically?
This is waste coming out of households. This is just about everything that comes out of a household is dumped in a garbage bag, sent across to us. We recover whatever is decomposable or organic and convert it into something called compost or organic fertilizer.
Is this a public or private industry in Pakistan?
Yeah. What's happening here in Pakistan currently is we are the only example which is a public-private sector partnership, where the land, the very large acreage of land that we have, about 23 or 24 acres of land, this land belongs to the city government. Also, the government has undertaken upon itself, the city government has undertaken upon itself to deliver the garbage to our doorstep, which again is a very high cost. The delivery of the garbage, using their own vehicles, 45 odd vehicles come in on a turnaround basis, and we deliver about 1,000 tons of garbage at the doorstep of the plant. Right up to there is totally the government's responsibility, and they're doing it.
As an entrepreneur, could you share some of the challenges you face setting up the business?
We spend more money on learning this business and managing it than it was in setting it up. So for us, that's been a problem. The other thing is that situation in Pakistan unfortunately forbids a lot of other nationalities to come in and work with us. Some people are scared, there's a travel advisory going on. For some reason or the other, we're not getting that kind of stuff.
Could you explain the concept of good garbage?
Yeah, you can actually see when you go into the CIA and the old movies where people actually used to go through garbage just to be able to understand the person's life. Yeah. The more affluent societies or localities do not create good enough garbage. Their garbage is even not good enough. Why? Because there's too many plastics, too many cans, too much glass, too much inorganic stuff coming out of it.
True, and they eat out a lot.
And they eat out a lot, so there's not enough coming out of it.
What are some innovative ways of using recyclable material?
For example, in Japan, they started making it into granules, and from granules into flower pots, into sidewalk curbs, garden benches. There is a chap here who's doing plastic furniture. Maybe if he's available tomorrow, we can see him.
Absolutely.
But that kind of stuff can be.
What do you think we should be focusing on as far as recycling goes?
The thing that really hurts me, and sort of I want to do something about, is recycling water. And that is very important because water is fast depleting. While in Karachi, do something. Go down to the Karachi Golf Club. Built a tank there of 6 million gallons storage tank for black water. Raw saline water in Karsan. Built it there, and we started watering the greens and the course with that.
I wanted to turn to the hot topic of recycling, waste, and energy. What are your thoughts about this, Mr. Rana?
Is that everybody thinks that from recycling you can produce electricity, or power, or energy. For some reason, everybody has that misnomer. Even the government is now talking to people from China to come here, pick up all this garbage and create power. The cost of setting up of that kind of a plant is very, very high. Recoverable power or recoverable heat or energy from our waste is very important.
What about the technology that's being used to carry out these processes?
Like we're doing it, ours is a very inexpensive process. We imported this machine and technology from Belgium, from Europe. Fine, it's doing great. Yes, there's availability of these machines in China. Never been set up here, so I really cannot pass it and say, okay, they're good or bad. Because a lot of these European and American machines are being made in China under their name, like Caterpillar, is being manufactured in China.
Recently, I learned that Bangladesh set up an organic composting plant for 12 million euros. What does a plant like yours cost?
The machinery for creating compost or sorting or sealing garbage and a vacuum unit is not even 1/3 the price.
And you guys are
This one is one with the European machinery that we're doing, and at a very large scale. It's not even, it's less than 1/3 the price.
Wow. And it's
This whole plant would be about $5 million.
dollars.
So does that mean that a business like this is or is not commercially viable?
Glad you brought that up because the environment in itself is definitely not a commercially viable business. The returns of investment are not yet converted because for environment you're going back to organic stages or creating energy stages or creating heat stages. That is still not become commercially viable. So there has to be some sort of medium where you actually set it up and make some money from a subsidy or some form of program. What's happened is that all those countries who signed up and ratified the Kyoto Protocol on controlling greenhouse gases have automatically become a part of the UNFCCC, the United Nations Framework Program Convention, which is set up a body called CDM, which actually gives you funding for controlling emissions.
Can carbon credits in themselves generate a significant amount of funding?
It can become a significant amount considering what you're working with. It's a lot of people in India and in Pakistan, a lot of people thought that carbon fund is going to come in and they're going to just make a lot of money, like free bonds and free stocks. But that's not the case. There's a certain pattern you have to follow. You have to be given the correct advice. You have to have people with you who are taking you along. We, in our case, are working with the World Bank, and we're very happy because they have a very large, bureaucratic as it may be, but they still have information. The levels are very high.
And credibility.
And the credibility.
Yes. So you guys are working with the CDM?
We already work with the CDM. We're actually in the process of getting validated. Our validation exercise is taking place.
Mr. Rana, on a final note, could you tell us what the recycling industry should be focusing on moving forward into the future?
We need to educate people. You see, for example, in my case, we've done it and we're already there. We're close to the registration process, and if all goes well, we will be there. Pakistan sugar industry is a very large industry. And sugar, for some reason, is an industry which you can recycle just about everything. Anything that comes in and out of it can be turned into either alcohol or ethanol.
Is that where the molasses come from?
Or molasses, or what they call mud. You can turn into fertilizer, all of that stuff. And unfortunately, nobody educated them. The information has not been passed on correctly. The right people have not come in. We have not learned from people around us. India went into carbon much before us. Indian carbon market was invaded by fly-by-night operators. People lost lots of money. Companies got shut down because carbon was promised by people who had no idea what they were doing. Similarly, it's happening here also. Carbon is becoming a buzzword. All big industries want to get into carbon, but a lot of them don't know about it. They don't know that it's a methodology that needs to be followed. You cannot just say, okay, fine, we are controlling gases, we put in a filtration system on our stacks, let's start making money. It doesn't happen that way.
ये जितनी भी ग्रीनरी नज़र आ रही है सारी कंपोस्ट
अच्छा
यूज़ किया है
अपना फर्टिलाइजर
अपना